Hello, we're on a roll. Uh, I am in the process of creating a batch of journals, and I've got two here that I'm ready to bind. And I thought I would walk you through it. I started making my template and then was like, I should probably show what I'm doing. So, I have 5 signatures with 6 pages each. And then a cover. The glue is still drying. Up matters with this one, so the flowers are the right side up. I'm going to put these off to the side for now. All right, so what I have here is just a scrap of paper that is as tall as my pages are, so that I can easily center it. It's important to mark what's the top. And then I folded it in half to get my center dot, and then folded one end in a little to get this one, and mirrored it. And now I'm gonna match the dots and give a little crease. And match the dots, give a little crease. And then that shows me where my stitches are. I like to do a 5 hole binding. Next thing is I'm going to take my awl and actually make this a little easier. Grab a piece of foam, and then I'm just gonna poke through on my marks. So now when I place this in a signature, holes will all go in the same place. Now, when I'm making a soft cover journal, it's different than a hardcover journal, and I'll show you. So in this hardcover journal with a hidden spine, I had a strip of cardboard, which I could evenly measure out my holes, and I knew how to evenly space them. And I could do math. I don't do math. So that the spacing is more or less equal. But with a soft cover, it's a little more varied about, I want them to be even-ish, but I also want them to properly fill out the cover. And so the space between signatures is more determined in the binding process. When I create a cover, so in this case, I made my pages first, and then I made a cover to fit. And you can see I made it. I just eyeball it, make it a little bit bigger than the pages. And so here you can see I have like, I don't know, 1.5 inch spine. Again, this is something you could math. I'm not going to math. I'm going to take it one signature at a time. And I will start front, back, center, and then I will insert the two. Is there an easier way to do this? Probably. Am I going to do it that way? Nope. Okay, so I've got my signature all set up. I need to find the center. And then I have these. I think they're used for hemming, but I use them for bookbinding because they're nice and long and they've got a decent enough grip. So put one on either side. You can also use binder clips or paper clips. Check which is top. This is top. This is top. All right, so now I'm gonna line up my template and then just poke through. I have an awl, so I use an awl, but you can use whatever you have. And then the first one is tricky, so I'm going to turn my cover. This is the front inside, so I'm going to put my front inside here. And then get it the distance I want it from the edge. So when it's open, I want just a little bit of the cover and the fabric showing. And I'm going to clip it in place. And then we are going to, I suppose I could have done this all in one go. Go through. I will probably do the other ones all in one go. This all is a little bigger than I need, but bigger holes are easier to sew through, so whatever. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to enlarge and make these holes in the spine more visible. Oh, see, that one I lost. Is that it there? No. That one I lost. Because I didn't go through. All right. So we've got our holes in the signature. We've got our holes in the cover. Next step is the sewing. So I'm using 3371 because I have a ton of it. I could probably pick a more coordinating or contrasting color, but I'm not. And then I'm going to take 3 lengths of the pages. 1, 2, 3. You can get away with 2.5. It's just, I think, easier if you've got 3. And then I don't know what kind of needle this is, but this is the kind of needle I use. It's got a big enough eye that all 6 strands can fit through, and it is not really that tapered, which I like, and it's long, which I like. So thread the needle, and then we start sewing. So for, I think it's called a pamphlet stitch. I could be wrong, probably wrong. You go through the middle, and I'm going through the pages and the cover. And then I'm just going to tuck this end underneath one of these clips, just so it kind of holds it in place. Then go up through the next one. This may take some finagling to get it through both the cover and the pages. There we go. Lots of flipping. Okay. And then up through the top. Again, Again, I want to make sure I'm going through both the cover and the pages. Pull it tight. It doesn't have to be insanely tight. We'll tighten it later. And then I'm going back through this hole I came up. And I'm trying not to pierce through the thread so that I can tighten it. Then skip the middle hole down through the next second hole, cover and pages. And then back up. And then back down. So you're going to have a continuous line when you're done on both the front and the back. And then finally up through the middle. And when I'm coming up, I want to make sure I'm coming up on the opposite side of that middle thread. So the middle thread is twice as long as the end threads because we skipped that middle hole. All right, and then we're gonna pull tight, can double check there's not too much slack, and then I tie a triple knot. Because a double doesn't feel secure enough, and more than that seems excessive. And then snip it short. And then save these, of course. I go through and I pull the individual strands apart. Here, I'll show you. Pull the strands apart. And bunch them up. And then it's ready to glue on something. Waste not, want not. All right, so that is our first signature in. And go ahead and remove these clips. And it's right where we want it. You can see it's not centered, so we've created the first line. All right, so next I'm going to take my final signature. Make sure everything's stacked nice. Okay, open it up to the center. Clip. And clip. And then we are going to line this up with the first signature height-wise and eyeball where we want it side to side. And then I'm going to clip that in place and grab my template. Again, make sure up, up, grab my piece of foam. Let's do this all at once this time. And then go to the back. And make those holes more prominent. Everything's easier when you can see the holes you're trying to sew through. And I'm holding the cover away from the pages so that I'm not re-piercing the pages while I'm doing this. Just enlarging those holes. All right. And then the sewing process continues, which I will go ahead and finish sewing this in off camera. All right, so lesson learned. Punching the holes through the signature and the cover at once is not a great idea. It offset my holes on my pages a little, so it made it a bit more difficult to sew, and they're not quite in straight. It's good enough. I aim for imperfect. Helps curb disappointment. But as you can see, yeah, so these holes are not on the fold. With time and use, that'll work itself out. But it's something I'm going to be more cautious of for moving forward. Next is the middle signature. So, how do I want to do this? Well, we'll do open her up and clip. Make sure up is up. Okay. And then punch my holes. Okay, so yeah, see, that one's a little off, but they're much more on the fold. Okay, next. We are going to eyeball. You could measure. I'm not going to. So I want it to be about equidistant, and I want to try to get it straight. Oh, you know what? Let me work smarter, not harder. There are dots here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in the middle of 8, excuse me, in the middle of 8 would be 4. So between the fourth dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here. I'm going to put a little mark. Okay. And I am going to line this up on that mark. Ooh, make sure up is up. Important. Okay. And my fabric's not exactly straight, so I'm going to zhuzh a little. Great. And then I'm just gonna, I don't have my foam under here. I'll do that in a minute. I want to get this before it moves. Okay. Enlarge those holes. Make sure up is up. I only ever clip down one side of it. So let me clip down this so it doesn't move. And then we sew. All right, so middle signatures in, pull tight, check the tension, tie it off. And snip it down. All right. So now we have 3. Not quite in the center, but it's close enough. I'll take it. And then in a similar fashion, I'm going to guesstimate the center here, poke my holes, and sew in my 2 remaining signatures. I think doing an odd number of signatures makes this easier to do without measuring. Feel free to measure again. I'm not going to. All right, so let me get these last 2 signatures in and I will be back.